Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to visit Kendra Von Esch. She's a YouTuber that decided to take on the sardine challenge. So without further ado, let's see how Kendra did.
Hello everyone, here is the update, the 3-day sardine challenge that I just finished. Here are the results. I actually took some measurements and I have one of those fancy dancy weight scales that tells you your BMI, your fat percentage, your muscle mass. Pretty cool. So what is the 3-day sardine diet? It's just eating sardines every single day, however many times you want, whenever you're hungry. I had the King Oscar brand in olive oil, wild caught, and I have still a handful because I went back to the store and bought some. I love them. These are the simple powerhouse snack. You're talking 230 calories with 18 grams of protein and like 19 grams of fat. A whole ton of omega-3s, which helps with your inflammation. So I strongly recommend that if you have never tried them, which I had not, you can check out my video on my first experience, you may find that you like them.
Have you ever tried the sardine challenge? When was the last time you had sardines? And would you try the sardine challenge? To me, if it helps you lose a couple pounds and you actually like sardines, this might be a fun little 3-day fast to try out. We also saw a couple of weeks back the egg challenge. If you were forced to do one or the other, would you do the egg challenge or the sardine challenge? Let me know in the comments.
Me. So what did I do? I ate 2 cans on the first day, 2 cans on the second day. And then I felt kind of like, ooh, I need a little more. But that night, I did not want to eat right before I went to bed. So I made a sacrifice to God and I said, I offer this up to you and I align it to you on the cross, Jesus, for the reparation of sinners, for my love of you, and for the reparation of all of those people who are indifferent to your mother, Mary. And I went to bed. And then the next day, I was telling my husband, you know, I am struggling. It's the last day, and I am just wanting to eat everything. I had a package of mackerel. Now, I've never tasted mackerel either. Here's a couple pictures of that crazy fish. But it was so good. Shockingly, it's about the same nutrient-wise, and I think that I'm gonna mix some mackerel in. This little thing is a great snack to take anywhere. It's a little messy with oil, but if you can dump it into a small bowl, sprinkle some hot sauce on it or lemon, whatever fancies your dancy. Fancies your dancy, I don't know what the heck that is. So the last day I had the mackerel, and then I had 3 cans of sardines. So this morning I woke up and I measured myself, and here are the results. I lost 4 pounds. I dropped 0.8% body fat, and I gained 0.3% muscle mass. I went from a BMI of 23.7 down to 23.2. I lost an inch in my waist, an inch in my hips, and 1 inch in my left thigh only. And when I measured my thigh, like ladies, I took that like middle chunk thigh all the way to the big fat cellulite ridden thigh. And yeah, I can't believe it. You could actually see the difference when I looked in the mirror. I was like, I'm surprised I don't feel this in my clothes. And that's not surprising to me because my left side has been the side that has been the problem. I've had knee problems and hip aches and inner thigh issues with like cracking and hip impingement. So I'm not surprised that the muscle isn't as big on that side. So I think I need to start paying attention to my workouts. By the way, did I work out? You betcha. If you're gonna shock your metabolism, you might as well go for it. I'm actually surprised at how much I did. The first day I went for an 1.5 hour speed walk. Then I did a DVD focusing on the lower body for about a half an hour, mostly body weight workout. Second day, did not get a walk in, but did a full body DVD. Third day, did another DVD. This was a full body workout with weights. So yeah, I didn't sit on my duff, and I think that that's why I had that reduction in inches. And what really happens when you're eating all of that protein and fat, you are getting into ketosis. So your body is burning fat. You might also be getting into autophagy. You can learn all of the benefits in my video where I tried my first sardine. So there were some negatives. Like I said, day 3, I just wanted to eat everything. And that was an opportunity for me to offer up a lot to God. And I told my husband, I am not going to do it. Why? Because I made a promise. I made a decision and I wanted to stick to it. And I needed God's grace. So there were a few times that I prayed to him to say, Lord, please help me just get through this. I just wanted something different than sardines. And on the second and third day, I kind of had the runs. Yeah, not good. So that wasn't so pleasant. And this morning, still facing it. Now, I did not have any sardines today, which is my final day. I started my first can at 10 a.m. and my last can should be 10 a.m. But I just didn't eat. I was done. As a matter of fact, I have been craving my coffee. So check out my video, Saturday Morning Coffee with Kendra, which I will be filming right after this. And we're going to be talking about thinking and observing, the difference between the two, and how if we observe, we can actually capture those thoughts and reprogram that subconscious, that initial gut reaction. We talk about triggers in the past. Well, this is really about identifying the root by observing yourself. And you might be surprised where those thoughts and reflections and observations take you. All righty, everyone, that's it on my sardine update. Give it a shot. It's awesome. Again, I bought more. They are amazing snacks to have around the house. Find something more with God, everyone. Soul, mind, and body. And have a blessed and inspired day.
She seems really, really pleasant, doesn't she? So I don't know if you caught that, but it looks like after a couple of days, it kind of gave her diarrhea. And apparently the diarrhea was kind of the red light for her, right? So it looks like she kind of took a day off from that. But at the same time, she went out and purchased a whole bunch of sardines. So if anything, she found a new snack to go with the little 4 pounds that she lost and the inches in the waist and the thigh and stuff. So great job, Kendra. If you would, guys, go to Kendra Von Esch's YouTube channel and subscribe to her and maybe watch a couple videos and give it a thumbs up. I didn't really go into the diet experience she had, but she does have some videos that kind of go over that. But why don't we do this? Since we're not going to go out and get sardines just yet, why don't you go grab your shoes? Let's go for a walk. Good morning, Venters. I hope you're having a beautiful start to your day. I'm taping this on Tuesday, so I'm assuming you'll see it on Wednesday. So happy hump day. It always amazes me how fast the weekends go. I had a 3-day weekend because I took yesterday off to go see my surgeon. And no matter if it's a 3 or even 4-day weekend, they go too quick, don't they? So I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. The good news is, because the days go by so quick, we're already halfway done with the week again, on the way to the weekend. So that's good. I got a couple of stories today from the Good News Network that when I read them, I thought they were both pretty interesting. And the first one here is kind of heartwarming. So
back in 1994, there were 2 babies born at the Queen's Medical Center in Nottingham, England. One of the babies was Jack, one of the other babies was a female named Bronwyn. And because they were both extremely premature, their parents had a chance to kind of befriend each other there in 1994. They ended up surviving their time in the hospital, right? Because keep in mind, they were extremely premature, and so much so that Jack had to stay there for an extra year. Bronwyn had to stay there for an extra 14 weeks. So we're talking, it was real touch and go there for a while. But luckily, both Jack and Bronwyn survived. Their parents befriended each other there at the hospital, and they stayed in touch with each other over the next, 15 or 20 years. So the kids grew up kind of together, yet not together, or at least they knew about each other as they were growing up, right? And so in 2021, they had started to drift apart as they were becoming young adults, going about their own lives. But for whatever reason, Jack saw a picture of Bronwyn on Facebook, reached out to her, asked her if she was single, and apparently they started dating. And I'm happy to announce that February of 2024, they gave birth to Sienna, their own child. So I thought that was really, really cool. These 2 kids that they're really friends and in contact with each other because of fate, right? Fate brought their parents together into a union of friendship. And then as they grew up and got together, they were able to reunite because of the wonders of Facebook, right? And they were able to end up and have a baby of their own. Again, beautiful Sienna, born February of this year. When I heard that, I was just like, oh, I gotta share that. That sounds like one of those hands of fate stories, There's no reason in the world why these 2 should have been together in the first place, right? But sometimes there's a silver lining in every dark cloud. So here's my question to you. Did you ever have a situation that might have come across as a dark cloud, but in that situation there was some sort of silver lining? I think we all have stories about that, right? Where sometimes we think things are bad and then we realize, hey, that ended up working out. Sometimes you end up going to a school that wasn't necessarily your first choice, right? Let's say you want to go to the university, and because of finances or because of, the way life is, maybe you have to go to the community college. But maybe when you go to the community college, you end up meeting the man or woman of your dreams. I mean, there's so many things that can happen when it comes to, your future. One of the movies that I enjoyed back in the day was called Butterfly Effect with Ashton Kutcher. And the whole premise behind that movie was every single decision you make changes your future, Oh, and by the way, Sienna was born in that same Queen's Medical Center in Nottingham, England. So I thought that was really, really cool. What a great story, huh? And it didn't mention that Sienna was premature, so I'm assuming that she's a healthy baby and everything is good with her. On another note that I thought was fascinating, apparently here in America, there's one thing that we're kind of behind the rest of the world in, and that's high-speed rail. Apparently a company called Brightline West is going to be building a high-speed rail that connects Los Angeles to Las Vegas, Nevada. And apparently this high-speed rail is going to go a whopping 200 miles per hour. It's going to cost in the area of about $3 billion, but apparently they qualified for a $3 billion grant from the Biden administration. Hopefully we don't find out that there's some weird secret handshake there, but negative news aside, they're hoping that this Brightline rail is finished within 4 years, which would be just in time for the 2028 Olympics. Considering that's the goal, I'm assuming it'll take them a dozen years and it'll probably cost twice as much as they're guessing. But let's say I'm wrong and let's say it pops open. Guys, could you imagine going 200 miles per hour? That sounds crazy. I don't know off the top of my head how fast NASCAR and the different racing circuits go, But that sounds like it's probably faster than a NASCAR, doesn't it? It's like, holy moly, faster than Formula One, the whole 9 yards. So that sounds really, really fascinating. Apparently, this move is going to take out literally hundreds of metric tons of pollution and CO2 from the environment. I'm not a huge, pollution, CO2, climate change type person. But the reality is, if you can get there faster, maybe it makes sense for you and your family. I have a feeling it's going to cost an arm and a leg, and I wouldn't be surprised if the LA side isn't as safe as the Las Vegas side. But still, that would be really, really cool. Apparently, between the two cities, a lot of people make the annual trek to visit Vegas or to visit LA. So apparently, this is going to cut that travel time down. The only thing is you obviously can't bring your vehicle if you're taking a train, but if you can get there via train very quickly, I didn't do the math, but I'd imagine at 200 miles per hour without any red lights, I'd imagine you can get between the two connected cities pretty darn quickly. Apparently, they also have plans to build the same 200 mile per hour speed rail from Dallas to Houston as well. So who knows, maybe this time next decade, maybe we'll have a handful of these speedy trains that go from cities in various parts of the country. Apparently, there's already a Brightline train that's been in service since 2018, and that's connecting Miami to Orlando. But I did some homework on that Brightline railway, and apparently it only goes 125 miles per hour, which still seems hella fast to me. So if you've ever been on a high-speed train, let me know what you thought of it. Was it scary as heck, or was it so smooth you didn't even realize it was going that fast? Because it seems to me like that would be kind of a scary ride. If there's a bump or anything that you hit, it sounds to me like it could be catastrophic. But again, if you've been on one of these lines and they're extremely safe, let me know. I definitely would love going on one of these high-speed rails, and I wouldn't even mind going up to Las Vegas just to hop on it and head back to LA, and then just to come back to Phoenix afterwards, just to see what it's like. If you've ever taken a train ride of any distance, not even a speed rail, let me know. Sometimes I'll look up Amtrak, because over the last couple years I've been contemplating taking a railroad trip around the country. I haven't done it yet, but I look into it every now and again. I sometimes look into bus rides around the country as well. It's not that I'm against flying, but I'd like to be able to see the country as I'm traversing it, And I feel like you could see it a lot better from a train's point of view. And I thought that would be interesting. But could you imagine that, guys, in the future, if you could connect between certain cities at with a high-speed rail? I think that would just be incredible. So obviously, I think airplanes go probably 2 or 3 times that speed. I don't know exactly how fast airplanes go, but I'd imagine a 45-minute flight from LA to Vegas can probably be done via the rails in probably, an hour and a half, 2 hours. So that's kind of interesting. Super interesting, as a matter of fact. So yeah, that's the new thing on my bucket list. I'd like to go on one of these high-speed trains at least once before I die, and considering I'm going to live to be 135, I got about 90 years to get on that train. Have you ever gone on a high-speed train? If so, let me know. I am officially on day 45, guys. Hey! Day 45. We're officially halfway through. That is amazing. It amazes me how fast time goes by, And if I wasn't doing a walking show where I literally plotted out each day, I think the last month and a half would have gone even quicker. There's something amazing with how fast the days go by as you get older. It's almost sad to me, because I was reminiscing just earlier today about a thing that happened to me 10 years ago. And it's so weird how 10 years ago, when I was younger would have seemed like a long time, because don't get me wrong, 10 years is kind of a long time, you know? But man, when you get older, 10 years feels a lot like 2 or 3 years to me. And it trips me out because none of us is getting any younger, you know? And I wish we could slow down the hands of time, but it just keeps going faster and faster, at least for me. If you notice this same phenomenon where as you get older, the years just keep ticking by faster and faster, let me know. And does it make you feel a little sad too? Do you feel like our youth just kind of disappeared, you know? Or maybe you're my age, 47, and maybe you still feel like you are very much youthful and you don't know what the heck I'm talking about. If that's you, hey, keep doing whatever you're doing. Whatever you do to make yourself feel young. One of the things that makes me feel young is my walks, because I've been walking since I was younger. So, you know, putting one foot in front of the other still feels the exact same to me. I purchased a stand-up desk because ever since I had my surgery on my tailbone area, I just feel like I can't sit normally. And when I do sit normally, I feel like I'm getting irritation or ingrown hairs again. And the last thing I want to do is have to go get surgery again. So instead of going that route, I just ordered a second stand-up desk. So I have a stand-up desk for my workstation. And now, thank the Lord, I'm going to have a stand-up desk for my video editing station for YouTube. So I'm taking it to that next level, y'all. I'm trying to be proactive, you know? Being proactive is not just lip service with me. I have found over the last 5 or 6 years that by being proactive, you can kind of avoid future pitfalls. And if I know deep in my heart that every time I sit down, I feel like I'm going to get injured, well then heck, I'm just going to stand up, you know? Well, Jesse, it's not too good. Don't you want to be able to sit down occasionally? Yeah, if I go out to dinner with the family and stuff, you know, you have to sit down. But I don't necessarily have to sit down for 8 hours of work followed up by 3 or 4 hours of video editing. The video editing is really tripping me out too, because no matter how fast I try to video edit, it's just a 3 to 4 hour amount of time regardless. It's funny too, because I'm always like, well, maybe I'll leave the UFOs out of this one. And if I leave the UFOs out of this one, maybe it'll go a little quicker, but it doesn't matter. I like my UFOs. If you like the UFOs in the background, let me know. If everybody says I'm tired of the UFOs, I could use the show without them, maybe I'll ditch the UFO, but yours truly likes the UFO. You know, it's funny, I actually hope one day that I can turn this camera around, point it up to the sky and say, do you guys see that? It's a UFO. So just know that's my goal. We're out here every day. I'm able to stare at the sky on the daily. I'm hoping I see a UFO. And one time, before I had my camera, I actually did see a UFO. It was literally a little white speck up in the sky, and it was amongst the clouds. And it kind of moved and then disappeared and then came back. And I don't know if it was just the reflection of it in the sun that made it look like it disappeared, but I really do think it might have been a UFO. At the same time, it was such a quick view, and I wasn't really able to keep track of it. So again, it might have just been, you know, a little light shining off of a cloud in a certain way. But either way, I think we can all agree it would be fun to see a UFO. And if you've ever seen a UFO, let me know. One time I called into a radio station and I said, hey, there's either a UFO out here or we have 2 moons. And apparently it made the news, not my call, but just the idea that there was a UFO out there. And it made the news, and it was just a weather balloon. I think a lot of times things are just weather balloons, and if they're not weather balloons, they're probably US military craft, you know? Because doesn't it seem weird to you guys that all the UFOs are seen in North America? It's like, you know, and they're all by military installations. It's like, if the aliens were millions of years ahead of us in technology, I don't think they would give 2 poops about the military. I really don't. I mean, if you were highly advanced race with incredible weapons, right? And then you went back to, let's say, 1000 AD, right? You go back 1,000 years ago, and you see the different armies around the world, you know, throwing spears and whatever, right? Spears and primitive metal shields and stuff, maybe even leather shields for all I know. I don't think that would impress an advanced race at all. In other words, for military people to see these UFOs and USOs where they go under the water, to see it on the daily, you know, to me it just seems obvious that it's their own craft. Ooh, it's a warm day today. Whenever I get to this point in the walk where the sun's hitting me on the back, it feels like 85 degrees already. I'm a little worried about the summer because in Arizona, this heat, man, it has a real way of scorching you. I think today it might hit 100 degrees. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll definitely let you know tomorrow if it ends up hitting 100 degrees today. I noticed that I recently jumped up and over 300 subscribers. As of today, I'm at 308. Yeah! Welcome to Walk Talk Vent, new subscribers. If you would, say hi in the comments and let me know if you're planning on walking with us. We've been walking every day for the past 45 days. With regards to this first tour of duty, we've got 45 days left to go, but many of us have already committed to a second tour of duty, so right after we go the first 90-day challenge, we're gonna start over and do it again. So if you're starting now, don't tell yourself, well, I wanna wait until they're done with their 90 and then I'll start it up with them, because walking is walking, guys. You might as well start it today. Start it now. Fate brought us together. Why did you click on my thumbnail? You know? What made you subscribe? If you're the type that just wants to listen while you're watching TV and, you know, eating food with your family at night, that's great. But I urge you and your family, get up off the couch, put some shoes on. Let's go for a walk together. I've been walking for many, many years. Absolutely love to reap the benefits that come from it. And if you start a walking routine and you stick to it, in my opinion, it's almost impossible to remain horribly out of shape. Now, don't get me wrong, you're always going to have situations where people find a way to still be overweight, right? But most of the time, walking's able to really change that. So I'm actually starting to feel skinnier. I don't know if you can tell when you look at my arms, but if you look at the first couple videos, my arms were real puffy, and it wasn't like muscular buffiness, it was just puffiness, you know? So if you're also having a situation where your arms feel a little bit more athletic, let me know. Sometimes we lose weight, but we don't realize that that's just one of the side effects that we're noticing. The other side effect might be, hey, Jesse, I went from a waist size 42 to a waist size 36. You know, if you start losing inches like mad, like crazy, let me know in the comments. I think that's great. If your shoes are starting to feel a little loose, that means that your feet have probably lost a little weight too. Now that might be awkward, right? If you're used to wearing certain shoes, but the remedy for that is take yourself out and buy a new pair of shoes. That's always fun. That's always a blast. I am so proud of the people that are walking with me. And I just want you to know that you guys have really motivated me, because I'm sure that if I didn't have my channel, I probably would have taken a couple days off from walking. Maybe. I mean, I still walk regardless, and it's more fun to walk without holding a 45-pound camera. Look how strong my arm is to just hold it without any grief. I never complain about it. That's the key. You just want to get to the point where you never complain. Jesse, that's 45 pounds. It would break my arm off. Yes, it would, Bob. Yes, it would. But I'm used to it now. And every time you guys subscribe, it gives me a little bit more muscle strength in my arms. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Remember, we are now officially in the second half of our challenge. What that means is that if you've been kind of delaying quitting the soda, if you've been delaying drinking nothing but water, if you've been walking 3 or 4 days a week instead of 7, I want you to contemplate the idea of taking it up a notch this second half. If your goal is different than mine, and it has nothing to do with losing any weight, you just want to start a walking routine, then you stick with your goal. Don't let me superimpose my goals on you. One of the reasons I need to lose weight is so I can fit in all my clothes. I have a wardrobe of clothes for a skinny 160 pounder, and right now I'm still stuck at that 177, 178 range, and every now and then it still bobbles up to 180. So yeah, so I've lost a legit 4 or 5 pounds, maybe 6 or 7, and the way I'm taking it a next step up is I'm going to be slowing down on my banana intake, because I'm having the bananas with milk in a blender, right, like a smoothie. And if I'm having that 3 times a day or whatever, and I'm cutting that down from 3 to 0, which I have over the last week or so, I think that's just another positive step. I'm also, if you notice by the videos that I've been putting out, I'm also starting to do a little bit of an extra credit walk in the early evening, late afternoon, early evening time. Do we have to do that too, Jesse? You do whatever you want, Bob. You do whatever you want. But if you do walk in the early evening, it's usually pretty nice. And I definitely recommend it. What I don't recommend is going from walking once a day to stopping your walk. I want you to walk twice a day. But if it means you just want to quit it altogether, that this is getting a little too tough and challenging for you, then don't walk twice a day, but don't quit on your 1 walk a day. Because right now, a lot of us sabotage ourselves. A lot of us wait until we're right there to experience change, and then something internally freaks us out and we stop doing it, okay? And it's really weird how we validate it. We will literally tell ourselves, okay, I now know the recipe. I now know the blueprint for success. I'm gonna go back to my ways now, but at least now I know I can always cut out sugar, I can walk, and I can drink water in the future. Don't do that. That is self-sabotaging yourself. What you wanna do is stick with the plan. You are about to see some amazing transformation over this next 45 days. And a lot of times, from day 90 to day 100, you see an amazing little jump as well. And I'm going based on my experience, but it happened both times. When you eat sugar, your body tends to burn that sugar for energy. So if you don't exercise or anything, you get this spike followed by this fall. If you were to work out or run or play basketball every time you had some sugar or candy, you'd probably be in great shape just because you're immediately burning off that sugar, right? What happens is when you don't work out, that sugar kind of gets concentrated into the fat that's around your gut area, or with women, it might be around their hips, right? And what happens is when you walk and exercise, and at the same time you avoid sugar, what happens is your body is forced to take energy from your fat. So as crazy as this sounds, if you can starve yourself not from food, but from excess sugar, you'll start to notice that your fat gets less and less. Why? Because what's happening is your body is literally pulling the energy from your fat reserves. And if you have a lot of fat, what that means is you have a lot of energy stored in there that we could get to. But the way to tap into that is to quit eating sugars. And again, I promise you, you don't have to make a commitment to quit sugars for the rest of your life, but see if you can make a commitment just for the next 45 days, okay? And if you're a couple weeks behind us, just because you watch a couple of extra shows doesn't mean you're technically catching up, right? Even if you're walking 2 times a day, it doesn't really work like that. It's per day. So if you're 2 weeks behind us, just know that when you get to day 45, that's when you want to start stepping on the gas, taking it to the next level. Wait, Jesse, I binge watched you and I walked the whole time. Well, there are some people that'll walk 10 miles in one day, and then for the next 2 or 3 days they don't walk at all. Even though those people are definitely walkers, I don't necessarily see them in my mind as walkers. I think the way you benefit from walking is to be doing it every single day. Because in theory, I could walk once a weekend and walk further than I do the rest of the week combined, right? But you don't get as much positive side effects from that. You probably don't get any side effects from that, to be honest with you, because that's one where your body just assumes you had a rough day. Whereas when you walk all the time, you're letting your body know that, hey, we're killing another 150 calories today. So that's kind of how I look at every walk, guys. I look at every walk as in, hey, there's another 150 to 200 calories done. I had one of my viewers say that they were walking a mile each day and they decided to up that to 2 miles. I think that's wonderful. What that means is instead of a 20 to 30 minute walk, it sounds like she upped it to maybe closer to 45 minutes to an hour. And that's exactly what you need to do. That's a perfect example of upping it. Your body got used to that 1 hour walk, and now you're upping it to 2 hours. That is awesome. Or maybe it was used to a half-hour walk and now you upped it to 1 hour. And if you end up loving your 1 hour walk, there's no reason in the world why you can't up it to an hour and a half in the future. Again, it all depends on how much you enjoy your walk. If you enjoy your walk half as much as I do, then you never look at a 1 or 2 hour walk as a punishment at all. It's just an additional way to kind of get your mental health in check. Jesse, you talk about mental health a lot. Yeah, that's because I found that by walking, you're able to eliminate a lot of problems and stresses from your life. And if you have a couple years of walking under your belt, that means you've got a couple years of various stresses and stuff that you've actually worked through rather than ignoring. I think a lot of us have a bad habit of just kind of ignoring problems, sticking our head in the sand, and hoping things get better on their own. Now, let's ditch that train of thought and let's start trying to find ways to solve our problems. Because I think you'll find that almost all of them do have a solution. With that being said, have a beautiful day. We'll see you tomorrow.